Father God, we pause. We thank you for your blessings upon our country and the freedoms we enjoy. We know that it's not like this around the world today, and we pray for direction and wisdom as we make decisions here locally for our constituents. We're thankful for those that wear a badge and uniform, and we pray for their protection, that they be safe and as long as they can keep us safe also. So add to this prayer, we pray it all in the name of Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome to the June 16th Commissioners meeting. You have the agenda in front of you and the meeting notes from last meeting. Any alterations or changes?
I'll move the minutes as printed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. We had a payroll of $302,938.78. Claims of $1,086,732.99. Can I get a
Move the financials.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Okay, Sheriff, we'll hear from the Sheriff first.
As of today, we have 69 inmates in jail. 35 of those are pretrial circuit, 15 pretrial superior, 19 DOC, and 1 F6. We've had a lot of people sentenced in the last 2 weeks, so,
DOC's not picking them up, huh?
well, we've had a lot of sentenced in the last 2 weeks. We don't ship them out that often, but had quite a few sentenced. Good news, paper printed that DOC is going to finally start paying for
A little bit more.
their arrears. Not that you guys necessarily care about that, but it is money that goes into county general, and we haven't been paid since May of last year. So they allocated $12 million to pay all their arrears for holding DOC inmates. So hopefully they have more money after that to continue paying us. So just a quick update on the kitchen. Last week, myself, Commissioner Stringer met with it, Superior, came down, looked at the kitchen, talked about, I think at the last meeting, the possibility of using PVC, focusing more on the drain line stuff. We decided at that time, based on some discrepancies in the original prints to what's underground, to have GPRS, the company with ground penetrating radar, come out. They came out today, spent a couple hours out there this afternoon, getting everything marked out and figured out where all the stuff is underground. So that's kind of where we're at this point. Superior, I think, is going to be at least looking at possibly a new quote. If we do PVC, the intention is the price would probably be less than what was quoted anyways. So at this point, I did submit an additional appropriation with the council for the cost of that repair, with some contingencies in there for any unforeseen issues and the possible rental of a reefer trailer whenever that time comes. So right now, that's all I got to report on that. I think Superior is going to kind of work more on a concrete start date so that we can start planning accordingly for that, and I'll be presenting that at the beginning of July to council, or June, right, no, July, at the next meeting for the appropriation. So kind of where we stand.
It looks favorable that we'll be able to use Schedule 80 secondary type pipe, take care of the heat, but cut the cost down, make it last longer. And then we're going to probably reroute so that if it ever does happen again, we're not going through walls and cell blocks and things like that. It'll be moved around. So
Yep.
try and do a little pre-planning instead
Yep.
of just stick it in the ground.
For sure.
So hopefully if I hear more on a start date or those type of things, I'll let you guys know.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitaker.
All right, top of the list would be utility permits. Didn't have quite as many as I thought I was going to have to. I'm waiting on some revisions to come back from another submittal, but we did have 10 permits from Comcast. all of which were in Union Township. They're all underground fiber with pedestals and handholds, pretty standard stuff, so recommending that for approval.
I looked at that. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Second here is a supplement for the 2025 through 2028 countywide bridge inspection. I believe we discussed this a few meetings back, that this was going to be coming. We were kind of waiting to see what all it was going to entail. So we've gotten that, sent that to Lisa to share with you guys. Looks like the total supplement is $86,000. So
That increase is because of state requirements, right?
federal requirements, yeah,
Federal requirements. Then there'll be an 80/20
Yep.
portion.
that's correct.
So 16, 17-ish, 17 and change or whatever. Make a motion to approve that supplement.
I'll second that motion for the supplement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
And BF&S did send a signed copy, so I do have that I can share with you guys.
All of us or just the president?
It's got all of it.
Okay.
You need a copy of this? Pass it back, and I'll get to Lisa when you're done.
All right, we had a pre-construction meeting for Bridge 65, Community Crossings funds that we're using to replace down on Jeff Road. They are anticipating starting in mid-July with completion by late October. As Jeff said, we had a meeting about County Home Road last week, so basically just a lot of earthwork operations going on right now. I did go out there with Jared and look into the tile situation at that pipe outlet. There's a couple different options that we're looking at right now on that. Nothing's been finalized. So. Last week, Kurt had updated us and said that he kind of anticipated, it looked like they were going to be opening the Adams Street intersection at 200 this week, by late week. But with a little bit of rain in the forecast, they've pushed out pavement markings and corrugations. So he's saying it looks like next week.
Can you get us a day?
A day?
Yeah.
I'll ask him.
Ask him to get us a day.
You'll just say next Friday.
Right?
We went from years to months to weeks. Let's get to.
Yeah. I do have another pre-construction meeting scheduled with Brooks Construction for the Meridian Road HMA overlay. So that's scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. I had put in that contract a delayed start date in hopes of not having any overlapping work with the Hoosier Highway project. So I know when they requested a pre-construction meeting, they asked if that was a hard date, which it was set for next Monday, I believe, because I thought that would be enough time that we'd have the Hoosier Highway project wrapped up. But I did tell them that absolutely we're not starting before that. But it sounds like they're kind of itching to get started on Meridian. So
Is that the full length or is it just the washboard area?
it's just like a little over a mile down further south, yeah, where the washboarding is.
And they'll look at base and everything to make sure that we're not just putting overlay over the top of no base?
Yeah, so there is core data on that we had when we scoped the work for the project. And we did have discussion with the contractor about the proposed treatment, and they feel confident in it. Have a few quotes for some equipment. I believe Lisa shared those with you guys. So to kind of summarize what you're looking at here, we've got a quote for 100% brand new setup where we purchase a tractor from Tri-County and we purchase the attachment from another supplier and have it all installed. We've got a quote for kind of a complete package unit from Truland that is already set up in that configuration, and I think it was just kind of like a lot demo model. something that's set up so people can come look at it, try it out or whatever. And then we had found the last one is a complete used listing for a tractor that's already got some hours on it, got the boom mower attachment already on it. So I had some discussion with the foreman and the mechanic about this piece of equipment, and I told them I realized that it can be hard to get other quotes and comparisons when you find like a deal on a used piece of equipment, just because not everybody has machines configured that way. So that's why we have something that's kind of like, this is what it costs new. Here's a demo package that's similar versus the used piece of equipment. So we're seeking permission to purchase the 2018 model.
From who?
The Logan Sport?
Yes.
Okay.
Which,
It's the last one on the page.
Yeah.
yeah, the,
It says row crop tractors in Logansport.
The case.
Yep.
I take it it's a four-wheel drive. The New Holland said it was a two-wheel,
I
but,
noticed that. I would assume that it's a four-wheel drive.
I mean, looking at it, it appears to be a
Yeah.
four. And the amount of hours, that's not a concern with an 18 model?
So I had that discussion with the mechanic, and he feels comfortable about this. That's kind of, I mean,
We need it.
I'm relying on his background and expertise on the equipment purchases, you know.
Right.
He's going to be the one doing the maintenance and upkeep on it, so I want them to get things that they're comfortable with.
So basically, 200, 211,
Yeah,
240, 211, or 99.
correct. And I did talk to the mechanic this morning, because I asked him, I said, you know, what are we looking at doing with our existing boom mower? Because I went out in the shop and looked at it this morning, and it's looking pretty rough, and that's exactly what he told me. He's like, you know, this thing might get through the season, it might not, kind of just depends.
How many hours does that one have, just
I-
in comparison? No
I
idea.
didn't ask him. A lot by the looks of it. Thing looks like it's bleeding. But he said that he would have a conversation, like if we move forward with this deal, he would have a conversation with row crop tractors to see if they would be interested in taking it on trade to reduce that cost even further.
Somebody went down and laid eyes on this thing?
I believe that the mechanic did.
That'd be, if we decide to go that way, that's my only contingency, is that somebody actually has went,
Personal.
didn't just look at pictures. We
On the lot inspection, yeah.
ran it, checked the oil, compression, injectors, all that stuff.
How do you want me to word the motion to,
That's just, that's.
subject to,
An inspection.
on
Visual
the,
inspection.
yeah, visual and on the lot inspection? And,
Somebody sign off that it works, somebody from our group to
Yeah.
drive down there and sign off that it works.
Okay.
That makes
maybe
sense.
two guys, one of, look at it and see all that stuff, so that'll be my motion to accept this one, pending on those two items.
and that's to acquire a used 2018 Case IH Maxim 150.
Correct.
From the row crop tractors in Logansport,
Yep.
which is in an amount less than $150,000.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
I did also have another equipment purchase that we were looking at, but I did not get quotes for that until I was sitting in the drainage board meeting. So we'll just plan on waiting until the next meeting to go over that. But they're looking at getting a dump bed for an older dump truck that is basically being underutilized right now. But they just want to get a dump bed on it so that they can start using it for stuff. It'd be great for like getting small loads of stone that you need for doing work around inlets and stuff like that, rather than tying up on the big trucks to get a small amount of stone, so. And then the final thing that I had for today, Ted forwarded me a voicemail last week from a guy at the city of Fort Wayne asking about the pending agreement that we had on the 3 pieces of equipment. I had previously had conversations with the mechanics and the foreman, and basically everybody agreed that, yeah, just send it back. We're not going to use it. So they were fine with that. We're just in the process of arranging transport right now. But I did talk with a gentleman from the city of Fort Wayne today, in fact, about that. So should be able to get that back hopefully this week or maybe next.
Our understanding is that we have not used any of those pieces of equipment with Wells County Highway Department in any event since.
I'm not aware of that, but
Neither am I.
okay,
That's-
that's all I've got.
Thanks, sir.
Excellent. Thanks, Nate.
Bobby.
If we do want to address the rights of way, we have 4 rights of way through the APC. Flat Creek LLC on Marzine Road, a Bobay Revocable Trust at 100 East, a Mr. Joshua Feichter at 200 North, and a McMillan Trust at 750 South. I'd ask for approval on those 4 rights of way through the APC.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. In the back. That's agreement
Yep.
for service. This one's handwritten in the back.
Okay, I'm just coming back. I know that you guys were going to look at the 2 bids for the heating, cooling, control system a little bit closer. From what I kind of gathered talking to a few, that Dilling is showing a little more detail of what their actual plan is to do. They are also providing some new cabling to the project too that I didn't really see in the other, but I don't know on that. I guess there is quite a, price differential between the 2. So kind of up to what your thoughts are.
So I looked at them, I think when you compare apples to apples, the Dilling quote is basically firm fixed. Here's everything that we're gonna do, not a lot of gray area in there. With the options, it takes it over what the other one is, but there is, when you lay them out, they're not really apples to apples, so. My suggestion is that we look at the Dilling one, they have the history, it is more of a fixed firm. The Belgree or whatever the name of this one is, just leaves it open that there's gonna be some changes and some upcharges, it looks like, so. In my eyes, and I'm not making a motion, just putting out my opinion, I think the Dilling group is the one.
That's what I
that
tried to do, go through with a fine tooth comb and try to find the differences and the separation. I would make a motion to have the Dilling Group complete the project based on their bid, just seeing the difference and these small increments that you discussed.
I'll second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's the Dilling Group. Thanks for going through that and giving us all the extra information so we
Yes.
can look at them side by side.
Thank
You have something we need to sign for that one?
Looks like there's I do.
You do?
She does. Maybe it's the same.
That was just the one signature.
Do We need a motion that I
Problem
send
is,
out.
so-
Amend the motion to have the president of the commissioners sign the contract
Send both of these yours.
with the dealing group.
Are we anticipating a more formal agreement with Dilling for the completion of this work?
Not to my knowledge.
I gave it a motion a second. for that, so if I need to call
Oh.
for vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ted, did I hear you say you need a more formal contract?
I was asking if
Yeah.
there was going to be a more formal agreement as opposed to just a bid. I would suggest we do.
We might need one then.
More formal?
Yeah.
So we'll go with them, but Ted, will you construct that, or do we ask?
No, yeah, well, I think, sorry, Ted, we'll get a formal agreement from them, and then he'll
reveal it.
Correct, yes. And then we make moves as or changes, he'll do that.
All right, that's what I have. And just update on the elevator. I know I said it was going to be ready on Monday, but they did fix the problem that was, the problem they put the new pump in that needed, and it did move it, take it where it needed to go, but now it won't stop. So it keeps wanting to go
another problem.
higher, and we don't have any more floors. So they are troubleshooting that, and when I called this morning, they are hoping to get me an answer yet this within the next few days, so. And they may just show up tomorrow and start working on it and see what they can come up with. But yeah, we don't have any more floors, so it can't go any higher.
It's becoming an injection elevator, we don't need that.
So we're in hopes yet soon, so just an update on that. So.
All right.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Council on Aging, Betsy.
Okay, so I'm here this evening to have you re-sign, Jeff, the FTA assurances. If you recall, when we were doing the 2026 grant application, the federal government did not have the FTA assurances updated for this current year, so it is now available, and Lisa has a copy for you to sign, so I can submit that back to NDOT.
Is that blue ink one?
And I have a blue ink pen. Yes, it is.
That one have to also be signed by Ted,
It does.
It does. Yep, sorry, thank you.
the president and Ted.
So we need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Or did we already sign it?
You already signed the 2024 version, but this is the
Okay.
updated version from FTA,
that's
so.
It's a new version. We should have a new motion to have the president of the Board of Commissioners sign.
I'll make the motion and allow the president to sign that agreement.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want my blue ink pen?
Let's finish up and then we'll get to it.
Okay, so he's not going to sign it yet. Okay. And then the second item is the vehicle lease agreement. Since we added 2 new vehicles to the fleet this year, we received them about a month ago. We had to update the lease agreement that we have with the county. So I worked with Ted's office on getting that updated. Just need to have it signed, and then I resubmit that to NDOT as well.
Every time we put new vehicles into service through the Council on Aging, Wells on Wheels, we have to update and amend the lease, and this is simply the most recent version of that. So we've reviewed this. This, again, would require the signature of the county commissioner, or the president of the county commissioners, as well as the executive director, Betsy, as the service provider.
Make a motion to allow the president to sign that agreement for the Board of Commissioners.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
So I've got the blue ink pen, but one last thing that's not on the agenda, I just wanted to remind you that our car show fundraiser is June 28th, and I know I had brought it to your attention that I wanted at least one of you, if not all 3 of you there, because we are going to have a Commissioner's Choice Trophy that I would like for one of you or the 3 of you to select and then present when the awards are given out.
I'm going to be out of town, so I can't attend, so.
Okay.
We'll have somebody there.
Okay.
June what?
It's June 28th. Registration's from 8 to noon, awards are at 3 p.m.
Right in the parking lot, right?
It's in our parking lot as well as the Chambers parking lot, and we have Water Street closed off, that section. Got permission from the city to do that.
Good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You signed.
in color, and then I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Petro.
Evening, gentlemen.
Want some M&Ms?
So this evening, I come before you in reference to the Wells County grant application procedures. I've received a notice from NIPSCO that they are taking applications for their public safety education and training grant. You each have a copy of that I have received. And what that is anywhere from $500 to $5,000 are going to be amounts that they're going to give out. This grant is totally upon us. They do not require anything, no matching, no nothing up front. It's just simply, I fill out the paperwork, and if I get chosen, or my office gets chosen, they write a check. So basically, I'm just following the rules by the grant application procedures by coming in and asking your permission to apply for it.
Pretty straightforward. I'll make a motion to let you apply.
There's been other instances where I've received this kind of information, and the timelines don't fit where you have a commissioners meeting for me to apply for it or request. So I've already missed like 2 or 3 other opportunities for free money. So my second request is that you guys, as a council or commissioners, maybe table the idea of amending this procedure to where grants like this, that we don't have to match or come up with money out of our funds to get this money. Maybe we don't have to ask the permission for it.
I think it's great if we took a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. I mean, we've already missed out on some opportunities. Luckily enough, she was able to get me in tonight's meeting in enough time to ask whether we could possibly have missed this opportunity as well.
Can we amend your motion to include the president being allowed to be signatory
Oh,
to that
absolutely.
agreement also?
I'll amend that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. And then his second one was, Ted, could you look at maybe making that we don't have to ask for?
I'll look into why we have the policy and then see, along with county council, whether or not that's a policy that needs to be amended or perhaps even terminated.
Okay.
That's all I have, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Lotzenheiser.
All right, so I'm here today. We were here at previous commissioners' meeting in regards to the rezoning request from Agricultural 1 to Agricultural 1 to Agricultural Residential for the Runkle property located at 6126 North 100 East. The rezoning request is for 11.83 acres. There's a single-family residence on it. The rest is open space. The Wells County Plan Commission gave a no recommendation. That's not against or for the recommendation, but not having a recommendation, partially because 2 members were absent, and there just wasn't able to get a quorum towards one option or the other. So that no recommendation was voted on, 9 in favor, 0 opposed. So at this time, we talked about this in the past meeting, but would ask if you guys have any questions to us. Otherwise, I believe the petitioner and his representative would be interested in speaking.
So any questions for Mike or related to the APC before we hear from the petitioner?
I'll be able to answer any if you come up with any after the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. So when I was here last month, we kind of had, I think this started with the Plan Commission with a very kind of generic sketch of what Mr. Runkle was looking to do on this property for the rezone. We came back last meeting with kind of a preliminary drawing on what we were thinking for lots and a road layout, just to kind of get this rezoning done so we could get moving into more of a detailed engineering. And then it was kind of basically recommended, hey, go back to the drawing board a little bit and just dig into that, some more preliminary engineering versus just kind of a wishful list of what we were wanting to do. And so that's what you have in front of you today is what we've done is we've eliminated a lot at the southwest corner of the property. We have a detention pond designed to go there. You see little arrows along the north side of the property and along both sides of the road. That's those are kind of what we'd be doing as drainage swales, directing all of the water from the property to the north to go into that swale and kind of direct it along the north and the west side into the detention pond. Also doing side road ditches of the proposed drive to make sure that we're not taking any water onto any adjoining property, all that water being directed to the detention pond. That detention pond would then be designed to meet county ordinance. We've been working with Jared on options on that since our last meeting. If you flip to kind of the last page there's an old pipe that's been under this railroad for 100+ years. That's right in our southwest corner. That's where our outlet of our pond would be. Right now, we believe that the south side of that pipe has been blocked of some sort. We've started the process of trying to uncover of why that was blocked or how we can solve that. So we've kind of been, obviously there hasn't been a lot of time to get things ironed out 100%, but wanted to let you guys know that we have been having multiple conversations on what our plan is during the next phase of the detailed engineering and approvals through the surveyor's office for drainage.
Do you know where that pipe, when it does drain, where it's supposed to go? Does it come across and?
It goes south
Is there a
across.
ditch?
Yeah.
Ditch between the railroad tracks and 224? Goes south?
Yeah, I don't know where it goes per se. I think there's a drainage swale on the south side of the old railroad. We haven't done a detailed topography survey out here yet to see where that goes. I think it goes west down to a legally drain to the west.
The yellow line, yellow dotted line, is that easement?
Building setback.
Building setback.
This is the tiled drain that's under, but it's on the south side of 224. That's the closest tiled drain, but it doesn't show any tiles beside the railroad track.
There's no legal tiles adjoining us, but we kind of talked to Jared about petitioning the drainage board, allowing this to, since we don't have something touching us and
Right.
probably not
Is this
a way of
something,
getting it direct.
is there something that this property owner here would have to agree to, or?
Remember that property owner, I believe, is the one that tiled with, is Jared here?
No.
Tiled with the gas line.
There's a gas line only like
Gas line is.
three or he was like,
Bulldozer on top of the gas line.
It's our understanding, working through Jared, since that pipe had been draining this property for over probably 100 years with the railroad, that doesn't have maybe legal rights to block it and block our drainage. Absolute worst case, these lots are large that we could probably do some, when you take farm field and put grass, it actually slows up that water. That, working with Jared, we feel like this pond, we could even oversize that the water that will be draining out is going to be so much less than it is today, that we can get surveyor's office and drainage board approval. So like I said before, we're here in front of you for the rezone, knowing that these details to make those other departments happy is kind of the next stage.
So all the surrounding lots here are, what, I see the one up on front's 1.75, but I'm guessing just.
1 acre.
Well, all these are proposed as 1 acre, but all the adjacent lots, this one, they're like 3 to 5?
6.
This guy below here.
2.5.
That one to the south is probably 2.5. One on the north.
The 3 across the road are 4.5, 4.99. 4.59. 5.49.
5.4.
15.78. 6.48.
And each of these would have a pump station
Correct.
to the main line.
Grinder. Individual wells.
One of the concerns, Mr. Runkle, when you were here last time was that you had some kind of drainage that's going over to drain on your neighbor's property. Was that addressed with Jerry?
I filled the hole in
It's going to be
With
right
the
on
Bobcat
drag. So
and
there's
stuff,
a little
but I have not
marina.
unhooked by my fence the pipe
Those are gonna
yet
be where
because
the
I need to
sewer
run a
does
backhoe.
But the intent is to make sure it's draining on your property.
And with the driveway going in, that'll
100.
totally get rid of that whole problem.
Is on the other,
East
the
side.
opposite side. I think that's what it indicates here.
I think so.
Got it.
And we've had a lot of rain, so I've been able to get out to
Address it. Right, any questions for the petitioners?
I may have a procedural comment that before the Board of Commissioners votes on this as a legislative body, notice is required to be posted that you're going to vote on this particular issue. I don't recall that we've issued any notice of a hearing for this particular issue other than the posting of the agenda.
No.
So
What was your question?
from a statutory standpoint, before the legislative body, the Board of Commissioners votes on a notice like this, we have to provide notice to the public. Do we not?
The Plan Commission provided that notice at our public hearing,
For last meeting.
and then it was continued at, yeah, so the notice should have been by the commissioners continuing the petition? Because there was a motion made to that effect. That would be my understanding, but
Okay, but you provided notice for the fact that this was going before the commissioners for the last commissioner meeting, is that correct?
that was on the agenda. The 48-hour notice would have been sent to the newspaper, correct?
Okay.
While Ted looks at that, any other questions for the petitioners? If you just hang around a minute, let us see if there's anybody else.
If specific notice was provided for last meeting, it should be sufficient because we did move to carry it over then to this meeting.
So we'll open this up
Not last
to
meeting, it
public
would've been the one
comment.
in May.
2 meetings ago.
Okay,
It was
yes, I
second-
apologize if I
It would have
continued.
been the second meeting in May
Okay.
to be carried to this meeting.
So we'll open it up to public comment. If you come up, please state your name, your address,
I think we need to write
and
it
sign
down.
in.
Yeah.
And then We limit public comment to 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Tyler Carnes, 6100 North, 100 East, and I sent all three of you an email this morning. Were you able to take an opportunity to read that?
Yes.
Okay. Then if you did read that email, then I have nothing further to add. I think I made all my comments in there.
And if you would, I'd like you to review that for public record.
Sure. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm just going to bring it out so I can read it to you.
Sure.
So in addition to the comments I made at the last meeting and then at the Area Plan Commission, some things that I didn't have an opportunity to say is that when we bought that land, this ordinance was in place, and it's been in place for, my understanding, over 50 years. And so we built and designed our house knowing that a large project like this wouldn't be happening, where we wouldn't have to worry about several houses looking back into my living room and where we do all our private functions of the family. So we specifically designed and laid it out with this ordinance in mind. Also, there's been no public support on this, and in fact, most people or everyone that has spoke up has been against it. So I would ask that you would strongly consider that no one has come up in favor besides the people that he's contracted to work on the project. And also, I've never heard of a reason why this is happening other than that Mr. Runkle just wants it to happen. And so hopefully, changing a law that's been in effect for over 50 years takes more than just a desire by one property owner to change that. You mentioned it with his drainage tile that Mr. Hahn, the surveyor, had told him to fix it. He's been unlawfully draining water on my property for over 4 years, and all he did this last couple weeks was fill in the hole, but I sent you some photos in the email as well after it had been dry for several days, and it's very clear that water is still being pushed over to mine in direct violation of the common enemy doctrine. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Must be this one because this one does not.
I'm Donna Ternay, and I live at 6186 North 100 East, right next door to Mr. Runkle. And he is not very trustworthy. He's always doing things to disrupt the neighborhood. There's times he sets off fireworks after 10 o'clock at night when people are working. And he just is not a trustworthy man. He'll tell you one thing. He'll say, I'm only going to put 6 or 8 houses. He'll turn around if you give him the exemption and he'll put in a dozen. He just never follows through on what he says he's going to do. And I'd really appreciate it if we didn't have houses back there. My son hunts in our woods, and that would just really disrupt his freedom to be able to go out and hunt in our woods if there's houses right beside us. So I really don't think it's necessary to have another dozen houses in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? You're a petitioner. We'll get you back up here in just a second. Any other public comments, sir?
I'm Brian Finnegan from Murray, Indiana, and I'm objecting to the HVAC quote approval for Dillon.
Okay, that's a different subject. We'll look at that.
Hope you make them a copy so they can see it.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. All right, any other public comments? Okay, we'll close the public comment section and have the petitioners come back up. Any comments?
I have some pictures. The water flow, which my house ain't there yet, which it shows, right, the way the water's supposed to be going. Which my house is right in here,
Uh-huh.
and then Karn's built his in, basically about the lowest spot.
Is that here?
Yes. Because it went right through here.
And then what I'm seeing here is the north side, and then we got water
That went right through
flowing
here.
right through here.
Mhm.
Gotcha, okay,
Which then it goes around now, and it dumps back out the same spot.
okay. Where's that on here? How do we find that? Right there.
This one, the one that doesn't have
Got
a name on it.
Okay, okay.
Quick question for the Kerns. Your property was built when?
2021?
Thank you.
Just the last couple of things I guess I have to add was, we're proposing a maximum of 7 additional homes. So I think that could be on record. I know it was mentioned up to a dozen, or we're asking for a maximum of 7 additional, his existing home being the 8th. The comment on the public support, I've been doing this a lot of years. I don't know if maybe a handful of times that actually someone stood up for public support. It's always the neighbors. It's just kind of how, the nature of what we're doing. And I think the drainage, I know what we're proposing will, these items haven't been done. I know there's been some issues. I know what we're proposing would get the water to the pond, but and I think there is a checks and balances with the recording of the secondary plat that these items are constructed before a plat would be recorded and any lots sold. So that would become back before Mike's office or a planning staff to say, hey, you didn't do what you said. So there is a checks and balances on that.
So the plats have to go back through the APC again. Mike, just for clarification, I called you today and you responded, but to make it public, the ordinances were set, and the ordinances are set countywide the way they were for dilution of septics, correct? That you needed so much ground to dissipate the offlet of a septic system is why the ordinance was originally there. The reason this is coming up is it has access to public sewer, so you don't have that same ordinance because this can get pumped into
So
public.
that, yeah, if you look at the lot size requirement in the agricultural areas, it's 2 acres if there's a septic system. It's a half an acre if it has access to public sewer. The 6 sell-off concept has to do with limiting the number of septic systems out in the county. It also has to do with lot layout and farmland preservation and some other factors that come into play. So in this case, it was set up that there was both agricultural one intensive and agricultural residential that allowed for these things to occur when access to public sewer does exist. So these tools are out there in the ordinance as it sits today.
So this one addresses the sewer piece, but there's still, part of the restriction is that we don't overwhelm farm ground with houses. So
Correct, yes, yeah, so, and sell-offs can be used in many different ways, not all of them have to do with building of a home. Some are the division of farm ground between parties or whatever. So there's many different uses to the 6 sell-offs, then a primary parcel is granted.
But all the sell-offs have been used. this
Exhausted
month.
in this, and in this case, all the sell-offs were exhausted for the development of residential on that primary parcel farm that was there originally.
So Mr. Kearns was a sell-off on that property.
That
at
is
one time.
correct, yes. It was the final, number 6.
It was the final number 6. Okay. So part of it is the sewer being there, eliminate some of it, but still the sell-off number to preserve farm ground is part of it also. How long has that sewer, how long has that sewer been there?
I believe it was installed during an update to the Norwell High School, if not to its original building. It's been there a long time.
So prior to the last
It's not its
sell-off?
original building, but
Yeah.
it was there probably, I want to say mid-90s.
So prior to the last sell-off, it was already there.
There, yeah. Yes, there's
Oh, yeah.
been sell-offs that have been developed on that road section that have directly hooked up to the sewer. So there hasn't been the need for septic elimination there because most of them are hooked up.
Any questions for the petitioners?
I guess not really a question, is that Mr. Runkle was aware that he was the final sell-off. And we're being asked to do something that is contrary to what's on the record. And where do we make that exception? I mean, I'm looking at the parcel, every parcel around it is 5-ish, 4-ish, or bigger. There's 2 parcels that's, one of them is north of it. It's a 2-acre parcel from the Bryn property, and then farther north, there's a 2.81 Seth Eisman. Everything else is larger along that whole section. That's,
So you're suggesting that if the parcels were bigger, it would make a difference?
It'd be hard to go over the 2-acre requirement. That's the minimum lot size. So there's nothing in the county that would require a parcel to be 4, 5, or 6 acres.
I understand that, but what you're asking us right now is to make an exception to even allow them
We
to
have
do
no
that.
recommendation
Right.
on that, yeah.
I mean, what they're bringing to us is something that is not normal, not, they're asking for an exclusion. So, right, I understand the 2-acre is a standard in the county.
So would lot size change some of that, or no? I'm a little confused.
Well,
Because today,
you're asking only for a rezoning of the property, correct?
And any plating would have to go back and would be.
yeah,
approved by
if the property would be rezoned, then the next step would be a primary plat of a major subdivision would be petitioned through the Plan Commission. Now, at that point, there isn't really a limitation to how many lots or the lot size other than meeting the minimum requirements. So with sewer available, that would be a half acre. So in the rezone, so to understand why the Plan Commission didn't give a recommendation is because the Plan Commission threw out several different numbers as far as a maximum number of lots. Each time they threw out, there was a vote for 5, there was a vote for 3. You saw that in the paperwork we gave. We just couldn't get a quorum or, to make one of those stick. But it was in the Plan Commission's mindset that there probably should have been or should be a limit to the number of lots if the rezoning was going to move forward. There just wasn't enough votes to make it happen. And it was because we had board members that were on both sides, a little bit less, a little bit more. And the ones that were on a little bit more didn't want to vote for the little bit less numbers, and the flip side. So, but consistently, that was part of the decision was, okay, and is in your purview as commissioners, and all we would have done is thrown together a commitment saying, hey, would you agree to this rezoning with this limitation on lots? But because we weren't able to, didn't happen, but it definitely is something in your purview to say, hey, we would like, if you do a major subdivision plat, a commitment agreement that would say that we want the lot sizes to be this, or the number of lots to be a certain count, and work through that process. Knowing that with sewer available, if somebody had a minor subdivision right, with sewer available, they would be able to split the property with a half-acre lot minimum size.
So if you go up Norwell Road to, let's say, 700 or 800, somebody has those properties, they have splits.
Yes.
They could hook into the sewer right now at
And
half-acre
develop
lots.
six half-acre lots.
Up
Yes.
to 6 half-acre
Mhm.
lots. So they have a maximum that they can split.
If they have that many
Again,
sell-offs.
If, yes, yep. So a
Sell
primary
off.
parcel would have that ability if they had access to public sewer.
If we pass this, and there's properties up there that have no more sell-offs, we're setting a precedent that they could do the same thing as this.
Absolutely.
That discussion, yeah, that the ag residential zoning classification exists for this type of discussion. Where, and the Wells County Vision 2035 Comprehensive Plan talks about maximizing development along the rural sewer systems. I know historically, the sewer line specifically has needed customers because the school system doesn't operate during the summertime, so it makes it hard for a force main sewer. Not for, again, it's just making statements,
Yes.
that's something that exists out there. And the comprehensive plan says to look at these things for focused development. It's also one of the reasons why there's a half-acre versus 2-acre, because if we can get done in a half-acre, that's 1.5 acres of farm ground that didn't get taken out. So you look at that concept, it is farm ground conservation, because you don't need the extra space for the septic system, and it's a potential backup site on the property.
So this really is kind of, why we're talking about this one plot of ground, it affects everything up through Ossian, it affects the one going to Craigville, the one in Murray, the one in Kingsland, the potential one going in Toxin, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good because we need housing, we need more people here. It's bad because we're opening up a.
Now, each one of those two also has limitations on customer counts, so
True.
You might be able to add, 15 new users to a line, but at some point in time,
You're out of capacity.
there won't be any, and then that'll kind of put it back on what to do next.
So again, if we approve this one, we're saying we're approving, and I'm not saying Mr. Runkle would do this or not, but it could end up being 14 lots.
Half-acre, yeah, would have to be the minimum lot size.
Half acre,
So you double this number would be it.
So, like I said, the Plan Commission thought that the idea of a lot limit commitment was a good idea. We just couldn't land on what that number should be. I think if you were going to accept the rezoning, that you should probably look at stating that we would accept it as long as it had a maximum number of lots.
Right.
Or a lot size. And then that commitment gets drawn up, it gets signed and recorded, and then as part of the decision-making on that property moving forward. If you decide to go the opposite direction, then we're back at agricultural 1, nothing happens. There's already a house on the property. So the most that could be developed out there is would be a secondary dwelling.
If you go to 2 acre lots, it takes it down to 3 lots
In essence.
max.
I'll make a motion, but you guys might not like it. But it's how I feel based on the time I've spent in government. I think the exception of what we're being asked to do is over and above what is needed and necessary, and I would not favor a rezoning in the proposal with 7 lots showing and the retention area.
I have a real difficult time at times telling people what they can and can't do with the property that they pay for and own. I think it's a strong overreach, but this is the system we're presented with. I would like some more time to understand this a little better, maybe even talk about maybe a lot restriction, if that would be a compromise that could be discussed, but I don't think I'm up to putting this to rest just yet.
So what would you need to see to get to a decision?
I'd like to see maybe a couple other lot designs and thoughts towards that, so some other ideas of how this could be structured.
Around more acreage per lot, 2 acre?
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of been
I'm just
talked about.
looking at the neighboring lots, and there's only
Right, I
14, 15
Yeah,
lots.
I'm not
and
disagreeing with
2 of them are 2 and 2.5 or whatever it was. Everything else is,
Right.
I mean, that's why I think everybody around that area purchased something with more acreage. And as shown with the 7 lots, and I can't do that.
Yeah, I hear you. I'd like to look at it again and discuss it at our next meeting as well.
So to summarize kind of what I'm hearing from you, Mike, is it, get it to be, if there's a want, Mr. Runkle, that you want to subdivide this, the request would be get it closer to the 2.5, which looks like the smallest acreage, 1.7, something like that, and look at those layouts.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you.
That would be 4, or 5 counting mine. And then the driveway would come back here, the retention pond could go there, and everybody can build how they want it.
They're still less than 2 acre lots. 1.9, 1.8,
Well-
1.4, 1.7.
But I didn't make, I did this on my computer, it's.
I got you, it's inaccurate then, so you're
Yeah,
saying
it's close. And then if that one don't work, 3 acre lots. So you're only looking at 4 counting mine. And then we
And
might
you
not
did
even.
this on your computer too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a close
So
estimate.
the numbers are kind of close.
Okay.
And then we might not even have to put a retention pond in by going that route.
Each option would have a.
Right. It's something different, so. I know.
Yeah, based on this information here, I'd like one more time to study this and understand it better.
Okay. And we're well within the time limit. The decision of the APC was on May 1st.
Yes.
You notified us for the May 5th meeting, so we are well within the 90-day period for the Board of Commissioners to rule on this issue.
Yep.
So we propose this on the July 7th meeting or
Yes,
the
the
July?
7th, no, I think I can, yeah, I think the next meeting and the very next one in July would be the way to go.
I'll work with Mr. Runkle and try to get you some updated plans well ahead of that so you guys can have time to look at it besides me just giving it to you tonight. So I apologize and
No.
I appreciate your guys' time.
I think the second one of the 3 acre lots, I mean, we all talked about 2. The one that he presented was 1 point something. That I would come first with one that's over around 3 acres.
Yeah.
So So we'll put that on the July 7th.
I suggest a motion to continue the hearing on this particular issue until July 2nd.
Okay, I'll make that motion to continue the hearing for the July 7th scheduled meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Miscellaneous and monthly reports.
Okay, you have me
Okay, Ted, so animal shelter, you and I have talked about this probably more than either of us care to talk about it. I think the summary that you gave me is that the city ordinance talks too much about things that happen in the city that we wouldn't have in the county.
Currently, Wells County does have an animal control ordinance. The county ordinance would have to be enforced by representatives of the sheriff's department. If we wish to amend the existing animal control ordinance, we would have to identify what we are amending and why, and then the question would be if we were going to ask the animal control officer of the city of Bluffton to enforce the county ordinances, we would need a specific interlocal with the city of Bluffton to share that legal responsibility. We can do that. It would just take an interlocal agreement with the city of Bluffton to grant the animal control officer the authority to act outside of the city limits of Bluffton. From a drafting perspective, we could certainly revise the existing Bluffton city ordinance to make it applicable to the county, but that would that would result in a revocation of the existing animal control ordinance and the passage of a new animal control ordinance, and it would require, if we want to have that animal control officer enforce an interlocal with the city of Bluffton.
So if you remember how this all came up is we've paid half of the shelter for I don't know how long.
Since I've been the commissioner.
Yeah, it came up this year that they weren't charging us for benefits and that, some other things that were in their perf. So it increased substantially. So the first thing I asked is, I went around to all the municipalities and said, how often do you call them? Found out that the current officer doesn't, he sometimes responds, sometimes doesn't respond, but doesn't have any authority outside of the city. So we're paying half of something we don't utilize now. So my question back to the city was, why are we paying half? Does it make sense? How, the one I haven't got back is how many animals come from the county to the shelter? Doesn't seem like hardly any. So the question is, do we continue to pay? If we continue to pay, it needs to represent a service that we get half the benefit for. But I'm not sure it makes sense to pay other than there might be a fee when we drop an animal off. There's a processing fee and a fee there, but should we really be paying half of everything?
I'm really fuzzy on what the county gets out of that.
No, at the beginning, the numbers were, help me out, Lisa, Beth was before me, or Beth was before you. I was thinking it was like 30,000, 35,000 maybe was our share. And
Now it's half of 230. So we pay 140,000.
so 140 and we're paying 70. So,
And now our half is 140.
oh, yeah, no.
Hence my point is that I don't know that, and nothing against the city, I just don't think we're getting $140,000 worth of service out of the way it's structured now. So either A, we restructure it, or B, we default out of it and pay a service fee for when we do bring animals to the shelter.
I would like to know whoever would like to could come in here and maybe explain to us what we're getting for that money that we're spending on that.
Yeah,
I've never heard an explanation.
I never knew it got to that number. I just knew a couple years ago it was about 140. So now you're saying our share is 140, so it went from 140.50 to 280.
So who would be responsible right now for explaining to us what the county receives for those monies?
I can talk to Councilman Mincer
Okay.
and ask him to either have, I believe that reports to Kyle Randall, the police chief, have them explain what we're getting, or, give a justification. I know they want half that money, I just don't, and again, nothing against the city, I just don't think there's the
Right.
benefit to share in half the cost when, by ordinance, the officer can't respond to, or doesn't have jurisdiction in 80% of the county.
And had I known that back in the day, we would have adjusted
Been a little
it accordingly,
different,
because I
right.
know we shared an expense of a truck or a portion of a carriage on the truck or something.
I'll take on the task to
Yeah,
talk to.
yeah, investigate it and share
Right,
that
and if we get a
information.
benefit from it, then, that's a
We
little
can-
different. Maybe somebody can justify that.
I will follow up with Scott and make sure that
Nice, thank you.
if he has an idea of why we should share that he can bring it forth, or have Kyle Randall bring it forth. All right.
Okay, also you have in your packet two donative agreements, one for Bike County Services, which at your last meeting you approved paying them for 2026, $47,678.
Yep.
For his attachment A, he included just the report that he gave in your last meeting. Also the RSD, this will be from a period of January 26th through July 1st, 2027, a $200,000 donor agreement if they get the grant.
Right, okay.
So yeah, these just need,
They just need signed, we've already approved them through a motion. And we have 0 covered bridges.
Yep.
I'll make that motion that we have none.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have no covered bridges, okay.
We have the bylaws. Sent that out, the bylaws for the, Ted, I'll let you explain that one so I don't screw it up.
Sure. I was asked to create a new corporation for economic development. We have filed the articles with the Indiana Secretary of State for a new entity called the Wells County Economic Development Corporation. We determined that that was necessary based upon reports from the city's economic development officer. We currently have a services interlocal with them to pay for a portion of her salary to provide economic development services. She found that most of the regional, she did find that the regional economic development entity requires an economic development corporation, so we put this together. We've also then drafted bylaws of the Economic Development Corporation. The appointees to the Economic Development Corporation would come from 2 members appointed by Wells County, one by the Board of Commissioners, one by the County Council, 2 members from the City of Bluffton, one appointed by City Council, and one appointed by the mayor, or any of the representatives from those offices. And then the town of Ossian has one appointee as well. That would be a private entity consistent with Indiana statutes, consistent with other Indiana case law, but those bylaws would need to be approved so they can move forward by the corporation.
Has the city already done this?
I do not believe that the city has already approved
Okay.
these.
Yeah, it's gonna go before them tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to move forward with this contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. And then the big one. Budget. So Lisa and I sat down on Thursday afternoon? Tuesday, sometime last week.
I would say sometime last week.
And went through and laid out the budget. She sent a copy of that to you guys for review. Just looking for approvals on those amounts. I don't know if there's anything.
We just got it, so can we just do it on first meeting in July? You guys just got this?
yes, you, well, did I send to you last week? Yes.
Maybe.
This goes to council. Yeah, this can wait a bit.
Goes to council on the August?
Maybe,
On the
maybe I missed it.
actually, the statement of salaries come to you at your next meeting, but that's not this.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can, but I did, in the email, I told you basically what was changed here and there, but yeah, you can look at it. Want me to put it back on the agenda on July?
If they haven't had time to go through it line by line, let's put it back on July 7th.
I got the solid waste one.
That'll go in line with the shelter talk to, because that
Yeah.
is in there also.
I don't have that one. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
don't remember getting either, I don't know.
All right, so we'll be on the 7th.
Okay, here's the copy.
And can we put this on the 7th too, or maybe not? Does Ted have a copy of this? Send that down to Ted.
Yeah, there's one.
I'll do it. I don't believe I do. I'd be glad to take a look at this. I don't know how to respond. I'm not able to respond at this time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So let's tell Bobby to hold off on doing anything with this until Ted has some time to advise us on what to do. I'll call Bobby.
Well, we're waiting on a formal agreement anyway.
Correct.
So we've got some time. I don't think anything can happen until we sign that anyway.
Correct.
Right.
Right. So I think we're all right.
I think that's it. Any other items? Holly, do you have anything? Anything from the public? No? Commissioners?
Okay. No?
Ted?
No.
Nothing. I'm good.
All right, motion to